NotebookLM で動画解説機能が追加された。現状2025年7月31日。現在は英語のみだが、英語学習に役立ちそうな使い方があったので紹介します。青空文庫の小説を英語動画解説してもらおうと思います。選んだ小説は芥川龍之介のトロッコ。字幕を別の AI 使ってつけました。それでは作り方を詳しく解説してきます。NotebookLM を開きます。マイノートブック、ノートブックを新規作成。ソースを入力します。コピーしたテキストをクリック。芥川龍之介のトロッコの文章の部分をコピーして貼り付けて挿入。スタジオタブ、動画解説の設定でカスタマイズ。指示を書いて生成。数分も完成します。出来上がった動画の再生ボタンで再生できます。または設定のダウンロードで MP4 でダウンロードできます。それでは完成した動画解説をご覧ください。
Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to dig into a story that kicks off with a pretty simple childhood wish, but ends up casting a shadow that stretches across an entire lifetime. So, we're diving into Toroko, which is just a powerhouse of a short story by the famous Japanese author Ryunosuke Akutagawa. And it's this incredible look at how one single event from when you're a kid can basically carve a path in your mind that you end up walking for the rest of your life. So let's start with that dream. Our story is all about an 8-year-old boy. His name is Ryohei. And near his village, they're building a light railway for a bigger construction project. Now, for Ryohei, this whole site is basically the most amazing place in the world. But it's not really the construction itself that he's into. No, he is obsessed with these little rail wagons, these toroko. Every single day, he just watches the workers load them up with dirt and then ride them so effortlessly down the mountain. You know, the sway of the cart, the way a worker's jacket flaps in the wind, to him, it was just pure magic. He dreams about riding one, just once. So one evening, he and his buddies, they try to push an empty one up the tracks so they can ride it back down. And they get it going. They hop on, and for just a few amazing seconds, they are flying. But then their fun gets cut short by this super angry worker who just screams at them. And on that day, the Torko became the symbol of something thrilling. Yeah, but totally forbidden. But then, maybe 10 days later, one afternoon, everything changes. Ryohei's back at the construction site, but he's all by himself this time, just watching. He spots these two younger workers pushing a trolley, and they seem way more approachable than the guy who yelled at him. So he works up all his courage, runs up and asks if he can help. And to his absolute shock and delight, they say yes. They even tell him, "Wow, you're pretty strong." And in that one moment, he just thinks to himself, what kind men? His belief in their kindness is just absolute. And this is where this really simple, kid logic takes over in Ryohei's mind. He's pushing with every ounce of strength he has, his little body straining. They go way past the village, past the orange groves, past these bamboo thickets. And with every single step, he's not just pushing a trolley, he's investing his energy, totally believing it'll be paid back with an equally long, amazing ride home. Okay, and this is where the whole feeling of the story just starts to shift. The dream starts to get a little frayed around the edges because this journey just keeps going way, way further than Ryohei has ever been from home. Now, what's so brilliant here is how the author, Akutagawa, just masterfully builds this creeping sense of dread. The scenery gets all strange. This huge, cold-looking sea appears off to the side. The workers, they stop at a tea house, leaving him to just wait, feeling anxious. Then they stop a second time. As the sun is getting really low, the light is starting to go. They even give him a piece of candy, but it was wrapped in newspaper, so it kind of tastes like kerosene. Every little detail is just a wrong note in what was supposed to be his perfect day. But through all of this, Ryohei just clings to that first impression. They said he was strong, they let him ride the trolley, so surely these kind men are going to see him home safely. He figures he's just waiting for them to finish up their work so they can all start that long, fun ride back. And then, as dusk turns into real darkness, the workers just turn to him, and with this really shocking, casual tone, they just shatter his entire world. They tell him he should go home, that they're staying there for the night. They even say, "Your family will worry if you get back too late." And just like that, in an instant, Ryohei is completely and utterly alone. The kindness he saw, it was just indifference. That journey they were all on together? Nope, that was just his. Now he's miles from home, in the pitch black, and he has to get back all by himself. And this really shows you the scale of his terror. He suddenly gets it. This path home is 3 or 4 times longer than the furthest he has ever walked in his life. The sheer distance is just overwhelming. And the panic, it sets in hard. He starts to run. He's crying. He's stumbling, just running along the tracks. And in his desperation, everything becomes a burden. First, he tosses the candy wrapper, that useless gift. Then, to run faster, he kicks off his wooden sandals, and he can feel the sharp little rocks digging into his feet through his thin socks. Finally, as he's sweating from fear and just exhaustion, he even rips off his coat and throws it away. His stuff means nothing now, and his whole world just narrows down to this one single primal thought. Nothing else matters. Not the trolley, not the orange groves, not the memory of those men's faces. It is all just burned away by pure animal fear. He finally sees the lights of his village. He runs past neighbors who are calling out to him, but he can't even speak. He bursts through his own gate and just collapses in a storm of tears right into his worried parents' arms. He's safe. But the story and that memory, well, it's far from over, because the real punch of that night wouldn't be felt for many, many years. Flash forward 18 years. Ryohei is not a little boy in a coastal village anymore. He's 26 years old. He lives with his wife and kid in Tokyo, works in a magazine office as a proofreader. His life is kind of mundane, tiring, filled with all the dust and toil of being a grown-up. A world away from that old railway line. But sometimes, for no real reason, the memory of that day just comes rushing back. And the story ends with this absolutely haunting image. That physical, terrifying path he ran down as a kid, it has become the metaphorical path of his adult life. A dark, narrow, and overgrown track that it feels like he has to just keep on following endlessly. So why does this story stick with you so much? I think it's because it nails this idea of how a single event, a single time we misjudge someone's kindness, can just create this echo. Akutago is kind of suggesting that maybe the exhaustion and the loneliness of being an adult, maybe those aren't new feelings at all. Maybe they're just a continuation of a path we got put on a long, long time ago. And it just leaves you wondering, what dark, narrow path from our own childhoods are we still walking today?
ご視聴ありがとうございました。詳細は概要欄をご覧ください。